You're thinking of relocating to Texas and shopping around the $1 million price point. There's a neighborhood in Prosper that isn't really getting talked about. Yet homes are selling incredibly fast, and on paper, Park Place looks almost too good to be true. Gated community, top school district, large 80-foot lots with those resort-style amenities, beautiful homes from both Grand Homes and Shaddock Homes, no mud, no PID, tax rate under 2%, and you're only minutes from the Dallas North Tollway. It sounds perfect, except there's a few things that most YouTube videos won't tell you that we're going to go over today. Like why some lots are significantly better, why this neighborhood could become one of Prosper's top suburbs and surpass Windsong Ranch, which we'll get into. And we're also going to go over a few reasons why it may not be a good fit for you, because if you're going to spend $1.5 million, you deserve more than someone just driving around saying, hey, here's the clubhouse, here's the pool, here's the pickleball court. Instead, I'm going to walk you through absolutely everything about this community, the good, the bad, pros, cons, comparing it to other top neighborhoods here in North Texas. We're going to go over things builders don't tell you, like the cost, the lifestyle, the schools, what your commute is going to look like. And at the end, I'll tell you whether I'd personally buy here if I were relocating to North Texas, because honestly, there were a ton of things that surprised me about this community. But let's get right into Park Place. Now, Park Place is one of Prosper's newest luxury gated communities. You're located just west of the Dallas North Tollway, so it's super convenient if you're commuting, which again, we'll get into your commutes and commute times here later in this video, because location alone is one of the biggest reasons these homes are selling so fast. Now, this community opened in October of 2025. I was just out there again, toured it, was talking to one of the sales reps, and they're shocked at how fast. They're almost halfway sold out of the community. They did not expect it to be such a big hit. And if you're relocating from out of state, whether that's California, Washington, Illinois, Virginia, wherever it may be, the house is important, but of course, lifestyle and location are really probably what you're most nervous about when moving to a completely new state. You're going to want to know how long is your commute, where your kid's going to go to school, can I get groceries in under 30 minutes? Yes. Is the neighborhood finished, or are they going to be building for the next 20 years? And those are the questions I'm going to answer in today's video. Now, Park Place is about halfway through their development, and that's important because it creates opportunities and drawbacks. We'll talk about both later, but one thing you'll notice immediately is this community feels completely different than a lot of the other Prosper suburbs. Now, instead of squeezing in as many homes as they can in the community, they really went big. Every home is on an 80 by 125 foot lot, so you're getting a super big lot, especially for in Prosper. And there's something even more surprising. It has to do with the HOA. I'll go over here later. And that's super important and hard to find because it's either going to give you just more grass for your kids, dogs, you to enjoy, or you're going to have room to add a pool, outdoor grill. Honestly, you have room for both of them, and you're in a gated community. So that's a huge, huge bonus, and why so many people love Park Place is you have room between the homes. You can't pass your neighbor an egg through the window. You have a little bit of space, and that's something that's becoming harder and harder to find in a lot of these new communities. Now, a little bit about the homes. Most of the homes in here are between 4,000 to 5,000 square feet. Of course, you can make them bigger if needed. Most of them have 3-car garages, though there are some 2-car options, and I've got several home tours up on my channel of this neighborhood. So if you really want to see exactly what some of the homes look like, be sure to go check those out. You're going to have your taller ceilings, luxury finishes. Homes kind of start around 1.2 here and go above 1.5. And what I really like is the curb appeal here is incredible. You don't drive through here and feel like every home is the same. Even though there's only 2 builders in here, we'll go into why that's kind of a little bit of an advantage for you. But before we talk about builders, pricing, or amenities, there's one thing that I think surprises almost every buyer. And honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons why these homes are selling so quickly. So let's talk about the why. Now, a lot of people aren't buying into Park Place because it's gated. They're buying Park Place because of what it gives them that so many luxury communities just no longer offer. Luxury buyers today are becoming super, super selective. And 5 years ago, you could almost throw a dart on a map and land somewhere in Frisco or Prosper. and find a super luxury community. Today it's different. Many of those established neighborhoods are built out. There's no new construction options, and resale inventory is limited, right? Generally, it takes 5 to 7 years is the average time people stay in a home. So they've just finished. You want to live in that neighborhood, you may have to wait 2+ years. And when a truly desirable neighborhood like Park Place opens, buyers notice and jump on those homes immediately, which is exactly what's happened. Now, entry pricing starts around 1.1, and depending on what upgrades you add, can easily go into 1.5. Now, the home I toured, it's posting July 7th, the home tour of the Grand Homes model I did. That floor plan starts at 1.2, but with all the upgrades, it'd be about 1.5. So keep that in mind. The model's pretty much gonna have every upgrade. So if you wanna do every upgrade, no 1.5 is probably near the high end. And that really catches a lot of people off guard is how much the upgrades cost. For example, in that model, instead of doing like your traditional vaulted almost A ceiling, they did like it's like a rounded barrel ceiling, looked like a barrel. Of course, that's where the name comes from. That was $30,000. Now, I think for the looks, worth it, but it's $30,000 just for that. You want to upgrade countertops, that could be another several thousand. Cabinet color, adding an extra bedroom. Like, I mean, you can get to $100,000 in upgrades super quick. So base price is almost never what you end up paying. There's going to be some upgrades you want to do. So I would encourage you, look at the floor plan, find the floor plan you want, and then look through the upgrades, right? And then you can decide, hey, we have a budget, we can spend 100,000, 80,000, 50, whatever it may be, and then prioritize those upgrades. So another important thing, right? Of course, the builders are gonna make it just wow factor to get you in, right? It works. They look incredible. Once you tour those, you're gonna realize the kitchen you love, the stairs, cabinets, flooring color, chandelier, all of those were upgrades. So no going in if you have a budget of 1.2 or 1.4, whatever it may be, you may want to look at a floor plan at a lower price point so you have room for those upgrades and you really get the look you want. And another reason these are selling so quickly is DFW is such a huge relocation area for so many people, probably like yourself, that are relocating from out of state, wherever that may be. I'm curious, comment where you're watching from, what state. But a lot of those buyers coming in are coming from higher cost of living states. So you get here and go, I can get that much house for $1 million, or whatever price it may be. And what happens is suddenly, you know, a 4,000 to 5,000 square foot home in a luxury gated community looks like an absolute steal. But price is only part of the story. The next things buyers ask me is, okay, well, what about the builders? And that's where things start to get really interesting, because Grand Homes and Shaddock both build great homes, but they have a completely different approach and kind of style. Now, before we compare Grand Homes and Shaddock Homes, if you're thinking of making a move to North Texas, whether you're 9 days or 90 days out from making that move, reach out to me. My team and I would love to help you make a smooth move to North Texas, like we've helped numerous other families do. All my contact info is below. It'll be pinned in the comments and in the description. You can call, text, email, schedule a Zoom, DM me, whatever you're most comfortable with, and we'd love to help you make a smooth move. But getting back into Shaddock Homes versus Grand Homes, we'll break down both of them. Now, the good news is you only have 2 builders to choose from, so that makes it way easier for you in a way. That may sound like a downside at first, but I honestly think it's one of the neighborhood strengths, because I've toured a ton of communities with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 builders in there, and there's so many different architectural styles and brick colors and different home elevations that, well, the neighborhood feels diverse and like no home's the same. It's almost too all over the place. It's like having a plaid neighborhood where there's just different colors and wovens everywhere. It can be a little overwhelming and not feel as clean or luxury. And you really get that in Park Place. Now, let's start with Grand Homes. I've toured both Grand and Shaddock Homes, so I'm sure you've seen several of their floor plans on my channel. And Grand Homes is really known for making a statement. When you walk in, there's gonna be that wow factor. The model home I told you about that goes live, I guess it'll be live when this video does. It's got the double staircase entrance, the tall ceilings, awesome chandeliers. It has that wow factor and super dramatic entry. They're really designed to impress from the moment someone walks in the door. So if you're the type of person that either likes to entertain, host parties, or you just have a super large family, or if you simply want the wow factor when you walk in your home, Grand Homes does a fantastic job delivering that. Their floor plans also tend to really maximize that open feel that several of their homes I toured, it was crazy because it was so open, but all the right areas like the media rooms were open but sectioned off to where it wasn't going to be loud into the other parts of the home. So they really utilized their square footage super well, and everything feels connected. You know, your kitchen flows into your living room. The game room may overlook the main living. So it's something a lot of buyers really love and look for. But here's my opinion. A lot of buyers fall in love with the model home, as do I. They always look so good, and it's really hard not to. They're beautiful, but remember, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars in upgrades at this price point. The lighting, trim work, cabinets, appliance, flooring, outdoor living, pretty much everything you look at, it all adds up. You know, I've seen buyers walk into a model home that, yeah, the base plan starts at 1.2 and think, wow, I can get all this for 1.2, and it ends up being 1.5. My advice is fall in love with the floor plan first and then look at the finishes, because you can change the finishes. If you hate the floor plan, there's nothing you can do to change that. And speaking of layouts, there's one thing I think almost every luxury buyers overlooks until kind of the new house excitement wears off, and that is the layout. Everyone gets excited about your quartz countertops, hardwood floors, under cabinet lighting. Nobody gets excited about, is the laundry room in a practical place? Can my car fit in the garage? You're gonna love the oversized chandelier, but is the pantry actually functional and big enough for your family? It's those little decisions that you don't notice when you're touring the home, but you're gonna notice a year, 2 years in, that are really gonna make the difference on how much you enjoy the home. So when you're out touring these homes, take time, slow down, and really think about the practical little bits and finishes. Imagine just your normal Tuesday. Well, how are you going to get groceries in? Where are they going to go? How far from the main bedroom is it from the kids' room? Is your office actually big enough? Is it quiet enough, or is it right by the kids' media room? Where will guest park? Yeah, it's got a 3-car garage, but can you actually fit 3 cars in it comfortably? Because luxury isn't just the expensive finishes, it's how the layout works and how you live. Okay, let's talk about Shaddock homes, because Grand Homes is super bold and just kind of a wow shock factor when you walk in a good way. Shaddock tends to be a little bit more refined, a little more timeless. It's a different buyer taste for Grand Homes versus Shaddock homes. So if you came here hoping me to say, hey, this one sucks, buy this one, it's not going to be the case. They're both great builders. It's just really, what's your personal taste like? Now, Shaddock has a lot of clean architecture, excellent craftsmanship, beautiful kitchens, usually a lot of natural light, and they also have really functional layouts. And instead of trying to impress you with every feature imaginable, they tend to focus on creating the home that's actually comfortable for you to live in and do everyday life. And I think that's something a lot of people moving here really appreciate, especially if you're moving from out of state and you may have already owned a custom or semi-custom home. Shaddock's built a really strong reputation throughout North Texas. They're consistently one builder a lot of buyers ask me about and want to know if they're in the neighborhood they're looking at. Now, what's my honest opinion? Which one would I buy? Like I said, neither one is objectively better. I would tour both multiple times. Think about those little things, like I said, like, is the laundry room in a good place? Is your pantry big enough? They're just completely different architectural feels. Grand Homes is a lot more dramatic, while Shaddock is a little bit more of a timeless layout and feel. Some buyers are going to walk into a Grand Home and immediately go, this is it, exactly what I've been looking for, and others are going to walk into a Shaddock home and feel the same way. So while we're out in the community, let's tour both of them. If you have any questions, want to do a virtual tour, if you're from out of state, we can do some virtual tours, and we can walk you through both of them. So if that's something you're interested in or you have any questions, comment below and let me know. Now, regardless of which builder you choose, there's one decision that's actually even more important than the builder itself. This is something that isn't talked about enough, that's almost more important than the home, and that's the lot you end up buying. Now, in Park Place, every home is about an 80 by 125 foot deep lot, so you have plenty big lot. I mean, 80 feet wide, 125 feet deep. And honestly, that really is one of the biggest selling points of this neighborhood is 80-foot lots are super hard to find here in Texas. Now, there is a neighborhood also in Prosper on 86-foot lots. If you want information on that, reach out to me. But in many communities today, builders are just trying to maximize how many homes they can fit. You'll see some 40-foot lots, 50-foot lots in a lot of neighborhoods. Of course, there's also 55 and 65 if you want bigger, but if you want a beast of a lot, it's going to be hard to find those 80-plus foot lots, which means a smaller backyard, less privacy, and homes that feel like they're built right on top of each other. But luckily, that is not the case for you here. You actually have room for a pool, room for the kids to play in the backyard, room for the dog. That's becoming really rare in these luxury communities, but even though they're big, they're still not all the same. Some are going to back up to other homes. Some are going to back up to green space. Some are going to be tucked away on quieter streets. Others are closer to the neighborhood entrances. So as you can tell, there's a ton of factors that are going to go into not only this neighborhood, but no matter the neighborhood you choose here in North Texas that are super important to consider. So don't just choose your favorite floor plan. Keep in mind, the lot's also just as important because a year after you choose your favorite floor plan that couldn't go on the quieter street or that couldn't have this color cabinets for whatever reason, you're still going to be looking out your back window, driving up to the front, maybe not being able to let your kids play in the front yard because the street's too busy. So those are several super important factors for you to keep in mind. And of course, if you have any questions, just reach out to me. And then remember, if you're trying to decide between several different floor plans, I've filmed several different ones. They're up on my channel, or if they're not, they're going to be up right after this video. I have to schedule them out. So in those, we tour the entire home, talk about the community, the amenities. I haven't forgotten about the really cool HOA fact on this one that I'm going to tell you here in just a moment. So after you finish this video, go check those out. Those are really going to help narrow you down, decide if you even like the homes in this neighborhood and which one may be a better fit for your lifestyle before you make the trip here to Texas. All right, so we've covered the builders, the homes, and what buyers often get wrong, but none of that matters if the community doesn't live up to the price tag for you. So let's talk about what life in Park Place actually looks like, because I think this is where a lot of buyers get genuinely surprised. Now, here's something that I always tell my clients that are relocating and even locally is, remember, you're not buying the neighborhood today. You have to think about what's it going to look like 5, 10, 20 years from now, depending what your timeline is, right? And that's why I think this next section is actually more important than the house itself, because what age your kids are, what stage of life you're in is really going to dictate what the next 10, 20 years look like, and choosing the right house for that is super important. One thing that is really difficult to explain about the neighborhood until you've gone out there is really how quiet it is. I was super surprised. Of course, you have a gated community, so you go through the gates, you have a super long entrance until you get to the homes. So of course that helps, but even for it being a really hot community and a model, it wasn't busy. You didn't hear a lot of road noise. It was super, super quiet and peaceful. This isn't going to be one of those neighborhoods that people cut through the neighborhood to avoid a red light or other traffic to get to where they're going. Because it's gated, almost everyone that's driving through there is either going to be someone that lives there, is visiting, or making an Amazon delivery, I'm sure. And that changes the atmosphere a lot for you. You're going to get that quieter, more safe vibe. You're going to be able to let your kids play in the street more without having to worry about some random guy cutting through the neighborhood wanting to see how fast he can go. And if privacy is something you're looking for if you're relocating from a busier city, I think you'll really appreciate that. Now, does that mean it's secluded? No, not at all, but that's really one of the biggest advantages of this location, and we'll get right into that here in just a moment. But let's talk about your HOAs and amenities and kind of what all that looks like for this neighborhood. Now, like I told you, you have a 1.93% tax rate, no MUD, no PID, and your HOA is $125 a month, which, if you've done any research, you know that's probably average or slightly above average until I tell you that covers your front lawn maintenance. So the fronts and sides, that's included in your HOA fee, which is a really, really good deal. Because remember, this is not a 40-foot lot. This is a 80 by 125-foot lot. So if you were to go contract a mowing service, I mean, to just do the front, that's probably $125 a month. How they're doing it, I honestly don't know. And the fact it's gated, you get a pool, a pickleball court. I mean, that is a really good deal. If you've watched any of my other videos, like Windsong Ranch is one of the top luxury communities in Prosper, so 200 plus a month. If you look at Mustang Lakes, which is in Salina, $200+ a month. So it's a really good deal. Now, if you like to do your own lawn work, I don't know, maybe you can get taken off the schedule, but that's really nice for if you're gone on vacation, you work a lot, you don't want to be mowing grass in 105-degree heat. So it's one less thing to worry about, and honestly, in a way, right, buying back your time, which is the ultimate luxury. Now, let's talk about some of the amenities, right? I told you there's a pool expected to open in 2027, so you still have to wait a year from now, which we'll get into some of the downsides of this neighborhood. That's going to be one of them. You're paying some HOA dues. All the amenities aren't there, but we're going to touch on some more here a little bit later. I do think it's important to mention the pickleball court also isn't done yet. It'll be done around the same time, but I think it's super important to mention that so you don't get all excited and hopes up that, hey, we're going to move right before school. We're going to get down on some pickleball and pool. Not going to be there quite yet. Now, there's also some tree-lined walking trails, and remember, this isn't the oldest neighborhood, so the trees aren't going to be as big or as shaded, but that's what I'm talking about. Thinking about 5, 10, 20 years from now, you're going to have a lot more shade, but you do have some nice walking trails to walk the dog, go on a family walk, afternoons, evenings, whatever time you like, but the trees are smaller. That's one of the trade-offs. You get a brand new home, new infrastructure, the most energy efficient, but you don't get those gorgeous 30-year-old trees. And that may not be a big deal for you, or it could be a deal breaker if you really want those older, mature trees. Now, if you're relocating with kids, they also have some playgrounds throughout the community, which is great, especially if you're moving here from out of state. You can get to meet some of the other parents with kids around your kids' age, kind of get to build that sense of community that you may have lost in the move. Now, here's my opinion and something I personally like about Park Place. While none of the amenities are like, wow, it has a 5-acre lagoon like Windsong Ranch, or 3 resort-style pools. No, it's 5 like farms. I don't feel like that's necessarily a need. Not that those communities are bad, and it may be a better, that we're going to go over those communities in comparison to Park Place later in this video, but you may not need that, and I wouldn't want to pay it if that doesn't fit my lifestyle. Park Place may be a better fit. It's definitely a lot quieter of a neighborhood. Part of that is it's gated, part of it it's a little bit smaller. So this isn't one of those master planned communities that's trying to be a miniature resort like some of the other ones, with restaurants, lagoons, miles and miles of trails, more pools than you could ever use, which is all great, but like I said, somebody has to pay for it. That's going to be the homeowners. So I feel like this has absolutely everything you need without a ridiculous price, and if you hate to mow or take care of your landscaping, it's included. Now, here's what makes Park Place even more attractive, and that's really once you leave the neighborhood and where it's at. This is where Park Place really shines, right? Most people assume when it's gated, you're going to be tucked off on it all on your own, and while it feels that way when you're in the neighborhood, you're really right by about everything you need. Now, if you're a coffee drinker, you're 6 minutes to Starbucks, which could be an absolute daily must-have for you. So super convenient there. You're 10 minutes to the gates of Prosper, which if you're unfamiliar with what that is, that's kind of like the strip mall area of Prosper. You've got tons of shopping, dining in there, clothing, restaurants, kind of everything you need there. Now, also, if you're from out of state and don't have an HEB, you're 10 minutes from HEB. You've talked to any Texan. I mean, HEB may be better than Buc-ee's, all right? If you ask some people, HEB and Buc-ee's, if you move here, don't talk bad about HEB or Buc-ee's. We'll kick you out of the state. Only kidding. But HEB, I do like HEB. I have an HEB about 15 minutes from my house. You will understand, I feel like, I mean, it's just a great grocery store. I don't know how to describe it. You've got to go. It's like Buc-ee's. It's absolutely unnecessary to have a gas station that big, but gas is normally cheaper. I've never had to wait on an open pump, and their beef jerky is pretty good. And it's clean, which is nice. But nonetheless, conveniences of all those really only matter if your daily commute makes sense, which it might or it might not. We're going to go over what your commute looks like to some of the top areas people relocating here are working. And of course, if you work from home, you can skip this section. Your commute is to your home office. So one reason a ton of relocation buyers are focusing on Prosper, it's not necessarily because they work in Prosper, but it's a good centralized location because so many people work all over North Texas. Here's what your commute's going to look like. I'm going to go over them super quick. Legacy West, you're about 30 minutes. Toyota's headquarters, you're about 25 minutes. The Star in Frisco, about 25 minutes, which if you're unfamiliar with what that is, there is a ton of great dining all around it. Also the Cowboys practice facility, you can go there, hang out, watch the Cowboys play on a big screen there. They have a field. They probably had the World Cup games on. I don't even know. That'd be cool to, I'm going to put it on the text. I'm going to find out if they had the World Cup games. Frisco, just Frisco itself, you're about 15 to 20 minutes. And the DFW airport, you're about 50 minutes to an hour from. And because of its location, right, tollways here, Park Place is about right here. So it's just west of the Dallas North Tollway. You're only about an hour if you do work in downtown Dallas. And that's a huge advantage. You're close enough to all the major employers without being right in the middle of the congestion. And for a lot of buyers, that's gonna be the big advantage you're looking for. Now, everything about Park Place, I'm sure so far in this video has sounded absolutely incredible, but there are a few things I think you need to know before buying here. And honestly, I think a lot of these are things that most neighborhood overviews and videos like this one skip over completely. So let's go over some of the hidden drawbacks of this community. Now, let's start with the obvious one here, construction. Not only in the community, just around North Texas, the Dallas North Tollway, other roads. Since it's growing so rapidly, so many people are moving here, you're gonna have to deal with some construction. Now, in the neighborhood, you won't have to deal with it too much longer since they're about halfway done, but you're still gonna see construction crews, hear construction crews, get a nail in your tire from construction crews. But the upside of that is you are buying into a neighborhood that's still growing in an area that's growing and developing, which is better than the other way around. Now, of course, the downside to that is it's not completely finished. You're going to have smaller trees, landscaping's not as mature. And then of course, like we talked about earlier, all the amenities aren't done and you're having to pay for them. That would just irritate me, honestly. Now, I would not buy it, but it's kind of like, dang, I'm paying for amenities that aren't done yet and I can't use. You have about a year, a little bit less than a year. They should all be done. You'll be good to go. And like I said, none of that's necessarily a deal breaker. I think it's just important to have those expectations so you're not disappointed when you move here and are like, where's my pool? All right. Now, other than that, I mean, as far as downside goes, if you're moving here from another state, yes, property taxes are higher. Overall, there's not a state income tax in Texas. Could be a pro or con depending what you make if you come out ahead. But this one's not in a mud or pit. Your HOA is very reasonable. You're in a great location. So it's not like, again, nothing wrong with some of the Salina communities, but some of those further north communities like those in Salina, you're 20 minutes away from grocery stores. It's not the case here. You have all the conveniences, but there's going to be downsides with every neighborhood. Okay, we've kind of talked about everything else. Now it's just, if you're still watching here, I would imagine you like this neighborhood so far, but you want to know, how does it compare to other top neighborhoods in Prosper, Frisco, Salina, and the surrounding areas? I really feel like in this area, the top competing neighborhoods are going to be Light Farms and Salina, Mustang Lakes, and Windsong Ranch, which honestly I get asked about the most is those three right there. Now, there are dozens of great neighborhoods and some sneaky ones that I could go over and over. Be sure to subscribe. I do a video, at least one of those videos talking about a new community, comparing neighborhoods, and then a bunch of home tours so you can see what the homes in North Texas actually look like. So be sure to subscribe for that so you don't miss that. But let's talk about how it compares to Light Farms. Now, Light Farms has quite the reputation. It's one of the most recognizable and biggest master plan communities. It is a little bit further north, but it's even closer to the toll road. It's still going to be a little bit more of a commute just because it is further north. You've got, I don't even know how many homes. They started building in 2012. So you've got over a decade of building. You've got homes from the 500s to 2 million. So as far as that goes, one of the downsides are, sure, you're going to have smaller homes mixed in. It's not going to be as luxurious of a feel. It's not gated. You get a lot more through traffic, so there's a lot more cars driving up and down the streets. Now, it's got more amenities. It's got several pools, more hiking and biking trails and ponds. It's got a restaurant inside the neighborhood. It's got an elementary school inside the neighborhood. So those are some advantages. There may be advantages to you. You may hate that about the neighborhood. But those are some of the differences. Really, the main difference is Light Farms appeals to a much broader range of buyers, right? You have that 500 to 2 million versus Park Place is a really specific, like 1.1 to 1.5, 1.6, somewhere in that range. And Park Place is meant to be that exclusive luxury neighborhood that if you have a budget between 1.2 to 1.6 and privacy is super high on your priority list, it's going to be one you need to check out. You're buying into a lot smaller, more exclusive community, and it's just a different buyer pool. If I had someone that's like, hey, I want something that's always happening for the kids, Light Farms has barnyard, activities, concerts, get-togethers, so many pools. There's just so much more to do that if you want something for kids all the time, it's going to be a great fit. Now, if you want privacy, larger lots, larger homes, and you don't want 20 different amenities, your kid's good with one pool, some pickleball courts, a green space to go play football or softball or whatever, Park Place is gonna rise to the top. So, like I said, depending which bucket you fall in, it's going to depend which one may be best for you. But if amenities aren't your priority, what if architecture is? Well, that's where Park Place versus Mustang Lakes is going to come into the equation. Now, I've got a Mustang Lakes video. I'll link whatever corner it pops up in. Mustang Lakes has always been known for its super beautiful homes. Honestly, I just like driving, like if I'm by there, I like driving past the neighborhood. It's just a super beautiful neighborhood. The landscaping, architecture, ponds, layout is all awesome. Most of the homes have a more custom feel. It's an older neighborhood, so you get a little bit more mature landscaping. And when you drive through, it feels finished. Versus Park Place, there's homes that are just sticks and lumber and foundation and dirt work, versus Mustang Lakes is pretty much completely done. Now, the advantage is if you want a brand new home, you get to build from the ground up and customize. Park Place has that advantage. Mustang Lakes, you don't really have that as much. You're gonna have the most modern floor plans, even though Mustang Lakes isn't super old. We know how fast everything changes, what people prefer. So really the difference is neither is bad. You're either choosing between a little bit older luxury or brand new luxury you get to fully customize yourself. It really depends on what matters for you. Now, of course, this is probably one of the most asked about neighborhoods. And hey, how does this neighborhood compare to Windsong Ranch, right? That's like Prosper's golden child neighborhood. You've got the 5-acre lagoon. Again, prices there. You have townhomes starting in like the high 3s, low 400s, but really your single family homes start in like the 6s and go up to $2-3 million plus. So if you really want that ultimate ultra luxury, Windsong Ranch is going to have an advantage. And of course, if you just want all the amenities, you want a 5-acre lagoon, other resort style pools, ponds, walking trails. If you want to feel like you're almost living at a resort, that's going to be the one for you. But something I always try and remind people of is, hey, you're paying a lot more in HOA dues. Are you going to use those enough to justify the cost through traffic just because it's such a bigger community? Are you actually going to use it? Now, if you have a bunch of kids, or maybe you just like to swim yourself in the lagoon and paddle around and do that, use the gym there every day and go swim every weekend or enough, do it. It's a great value add. But if you're like, maybe 2 or 3 times a year we'll go to the pool, I'll play pickleball every once in a while, then a Park Place may have an advantage for you and save you a little bit of money on those HOA dues. Now, something else is, while Windsong Ranch does have those larger lots, not every home is on the 80-foot lot, so it's not going to feel as luxury-like. You have the gated entrance, bigger homes, and you have a lot more builder variety in Windsong Ranch, so it's kind of an upside and downside. Upside, if you go there, you can select, if you don't like 2 of the builders, you have like 8 others to choose from, versus at Park Place, if you don't like Grand or Shaddock's customized features, floor plans, architect look, you're kind of out of luck in that neighborhood. Now, here's my honest opinion on Park Place. Are relocating from out of state, like I said, whether you're California, Virginia, Washington, New Jersey, whatever it may be, anywhere outside of Texas, and I had a budget around, that $1.2 to $1.5 million price range, Park Place would definitely be on my list of neighborhoods to check out. Not because it's perfect, no neighborhood is, but it checks so many boxes for, I feel like, so many families. It's quieter. You have a great layout. I mean, the HOA and tax rate are super affordable. You have no mud, no PID. You're in Prosper ISD. Lots are huge. It's gated. So many upsides to that community that, I definitely have this one on my list. But just personally, I like to go look at a few different neighborhoods. So if you were to come in here, reach out to me. We can do a strategy call, figure out how to make best use of your time here when you're coming to tour homes, tour a few of your top communities, tour all the floor plans in there, because I wouldn't buy every lot in this community. I would tour several floor plans, of course, and I would go into both builders. I would just see what they have to offer and would absolutely tour both Shaddock and Grand homes. So they both build a great home. But there's one thing we still haven't talked about, and that's who's it perfect for and who should avoid Park Place. Now, I think it's an incredible fit. Of course, if you're relocating from another state, you're looking for that luxury, privacy. Of course, if you want a gated community, great fit for you. You have quick access to Frisco, Dallas North Tollway, and Legacy West, and you don't mind waiting for the rest of the community to be built. Also, of course, if you need a certain timeline, right? Of course, new construction is great if you're relocating, because you can kind of choose a home that started and matches your move-in date, versus it's going to be really hard to find someone that lives in their home, has their home listed on the market, and says, yeah, I'll wait 90 days for you to come. Of course, if you want those mature trees, a more established neighborhood feel, or if you want a super active community or be closer and be able to walk to your nightlife, restaurants, all of that, you're gonna need to look at another community. Okay, let's get back to my thoughts, right? I've, of course, have went and toured the neighborhood, filmed the homes, driven there, seen how close it is to everything. We can answer the question I started with. If I had, around 1.3 million, would I buy in Park Place? And more importantly, I'm curious if you would. So comment below, let me know, like, yes, I would. No, this community sounds terrible. I'm curious. And it's not because it's gated. It's not because the homes are beautiful. There's beautiful homes in every community. It's not because it's new. It's really because I feel like Park Place has the best blend of luxury, location, privacy, and long-term livability that's getting a little bit harder to find today. And if you're relocating, that may be exactly what you're looking for. Now, if you're relocating from out of state, this is the biggest piece of advice I could give to you. Don't fall in love with a neighborhood just based off the photos, and don't eliminate one just off a brochure. Get out here if you can, drive the community, see what your commute would actually look like. At the grocery store, walk, get a coffee. That's why I make these videos, because anyone can pull up Zillow and be like, man, I'd love this home, until you find out there's apartments across the street, until you find out you can hear the Dallas North Tollway from your backyard. Because if you're moving here from out of state, no matter the state that may be, you probably don't have the time or the weeks to spend driving around North Texas, trying to figure out which community you like and fits your lifestyle. So my goal with these is to give you the same perspective as if we were sitting across the table from each other. The things that are great, the things aren't, trade-offs, pros, cons, kind of everything you need to know. The details that often don't show up in the marketing material. And if you're seriously considering a move to North Texas, whether that's in Park Place or another community, reach out to me. My team and I help people relocate here every week. And whether you're in that early research phase or you're about to fly here to tour some homes, I'd be happy to be a resource for you and help you make a smooth move here to Texas. Sometimes that means putting together a list of homes for you that fit your lifestyle, and other times that's helping you find the right home from thousands of miles away. However you prefer we help or approach it, reach out to me. All my contact info is below. Love to meet you and help you make a smooth move here to Texas. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Like I said, if you're relocating to North Texas, I post a ton of super helpful information, whether that's about schools, lifestyle, what the homes look like, that I think you'll find valuable. So be sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you in Texas soon.